After playing the game for months, I think I'm finally ready to talk about it. Hi, my name is Suha, and Stardew Valley confuses me to no end. I know what you're thinking. How could you possibly be confused by this simple farming simulator game? I'm here to tell you that the problem is not me, it is the game. It is not simple, in fact, it is anything but. And I know it sounds really silly right now, but let me just explain. So, you start off with being given a cute little character that you get to customize. From the hair to the clothes, you get to decide how you want your character to look when it is running around in your farm. After that is done, you go through a little cutscene that basically says that your grandpa has died and has now given you the quote-unquote most precious gift of all, his farm. The intro scene ends, you spawn onto your farm, and now you have to do everything you can to not ruin this precious gift that your dead grandfather passed to you. No pressure, right? So you get onto your little farm and it's go time. You're given a task list, 15 parsnip seed bags, and a couple of tools. Everything is pretty easy and farm simulator-ish. You plant your little seeds, water your little plants, go to the little shop and buy more seeds, and just do your little farmer thing. Once you leave your farm, things get to be a little bit more fun because this is where you can go fishing, battle slime monsters, and build friendships with the fellow townspeople, which is where things tend to get a bit confusing. So, let's talk about these confusing little friendships. When you get out and about, you see little people walking around the city, in the houses, and in the stores. A big part of the game is building on these friendships by giving gifts and talking to them. If you don't do this, you'll end up being met with a dialogue that quite literally says, quote, "I don't know you, why are you talking to me?" End quote. More than this, you will miss out on a few free things and you will feel very excluded at the town events, which doesn't really matter in the game, but it does to me. Essentially, if you are not giving people things, they don't care about you. The relationship to them is purely transactional. Okay, so you start talking to these townspeople because you realize very quickly how important it is to do so, especially with one of the first tasks being to go talk to every single townsperson. So you go around, talk to a few people, and realize a lot of them are talking about the store called Joja Mart, and more than that, a lot of them are seemingly conflicted. See, Joja Mart is a big grocery store. Think knockoff Walmart, and it is a direct competition of Pierre's, a small grocery store run by one of the beloved townspeople. As you talk to the folks around town, you see people like Jody here who talks about how the food at Joja Mart is terrible for you, but it is cheap, so it's the best place to shop. As you continue to talk to the others, you have people praise Joja Mart, but then they end the sentence off with, quote, "Don't tell Pierre I said that," end quote. On the side of all this, the evil Joja Mart manager with an even more evil name, Morris, keeps going into Pierre's store to steal customers by boasting about his cheap prices while Pierre sits there looking very obviously like he is in distress. Now you're probably thinking, why does any of this matter? It matters because this is where the guilt starts. Even though people will shop at Evil Morris's store, they put out the idea that everyone should feel bad for doing so. Basically, on one side, you are seeing Pierre practically on the verge of losing his marbles because Evil Morris won't stop taunting him in his own store, and on the other side, you have townspeople telling you to feel guilty for shopping at Joja Mart, which is fine until it plays into the bigger picture of the game. See, ultimately, you are given two choices that affect the way the game goes. You either pay into the big box store and let Pierre suffer, or you help Pierre and the community center until Joja Mart eventually dies, even though it seems like everyone is supporting Joja Mart, so Evil Morris should be fine without me. Essentially, you either feed into capitalism or you don't. But if you do, the game will make sure you feel real bad about it. Now, when I started this little critique, I thought maybe I am the only one. Maybe I am the only one who cares about what these little townspeople think about me, and I am the only one who feels bad about feeding into capitalism, even though I really want to see what happens when I do. Turns out, I was very wrong. So wrong that there is a whole Reddit thread on how to deal with the guilt of choosing the capitalism route, where people list how they have done so by pretending it was a mistake, or role-playing a character that is a sellout, so it's not you, it's the character. So, with this in mind, not to turn a farming simulator game into a political thing, but the game is anti-capitalism, right? Wrong. I think. See, this is where I get confused because yes, capitalism bad when you are working with the stores, but no one cares about the fact that the friendships and relationships are transactional, and no one makes you feel bad when you give Jazz a pink cake because she loves it and you just really want the kid to like you. With all of this in mind, I thought, okay, let's see what other people have to say about this. Maybe they have a better idea, and maybe somebody can solidify the idea that I had. So I did some research, and I found that one writer stated that, quote, Stardew Valley is full of obstacles and foes, but the real villain of the game is JojaMart and their capitalistic approach to rebuilding the community, favoring wealth and infrastructure over the actual people living there. Which really felt like what I was thinking, but as I kept doing my research, I found that that wasn't the only idea out there. Another writer had a different idea, saying that the game is not anti capitalist, but it does want you to challenge capitalism. This is further explained, saying that, quote, the game accepts that market based systems exist, but the way you exist underneath them is not to accumulate wealth or hoard resources. The way to live is to engage with your community. So, that goes back to building friendships and not hoarding the resources and maybe giving them to gifts to other people, such as the pink cake or even pufferfish. So, with all of this in mind, the big question is, which is it? Personally, I don't know, and that is my problem with the game. I absolutely love this game with my whole heart, but my need for these fictional little characters to like me makes it so that I need to know which path is right. Is it pro-capitalism with its transactional relationships and friendships, or is it anti-capitalism with its support for small businesses and crushing big box stores? Personally, I hope we find out soon, so maybe I can pick the JojaMart route without all the guilt, but until then, I will keep rebuilding that community center until I die.